Hi, my name is Nina Haitz, and I used to be a Lark camper like a lot of you. This was supposed to be my first summer teaching at Lark, but I hope to meet all of you next summer. Today we're going to be making bowls out of magazines, and you will need Elmer's glue, clear Scotch tape, magazines, of course, a paintbrush, and a paper clip just to help you hold things down. So for your first step, you're going to pull out maybe 15 pieces of magazine. I recommend a 15 minimum. I used 15 pieces of magazine to make this bowl right here, and as you can see, it's a pretty small bowl. So definitely no less than 15. I also like to use really colorful pieces of magazine, so this one is going to be a really bright pink. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to wrap up our pieces of magazine into little straws like this. So if I want the pink to show on the outside, I'm going to flip that piece over face down. And to start the wrapping process, I'm going to start in the bottom right corner and make my way to the top left corner. And I'm going to do that just by making folds, starting in the bottom right and moving into the top left corner. My folds are maybe 1/4 of an inch thick, and every time I roll over, I'm gonna fold down and make creases. And you'll continue this process until you get to the very end of the page. And always remember to flatten it out, because I found that creasing it will prevent it from getting kinks or unnecessary folds in it along the way. And once I get to the very end of my roll, I'm going to take my Scotch tape and I'm just going to tape off the very end, just like this. So once you have at least 15 of these magazine straws, we can start connecting them. And if you notice, some are more narrow than others, and that way you can just gently fit in each of them. And I'm going to again take a pretty long piece of tape because we want these connections to be secure. And I'm just going to wrap around until they're tight. And I'm going to continue this process until I have a really, really long string of magazines. So I want this one to be a nice shade of blue, so I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to do the same thing that we did before. We're going to start in the corner, and we're going to make 1/4 inch folds until we get to the top right corner. Yeah, remember we want it to be flat instead of round. And then once we get to the end, we're going to take our clear Scotch tape and tape it off. And we can add this one to our big long strand of magazines. So once you have a minimum of 15 pages of magazine taped and wrapped up into a long, long line, we can start the coiling process, which will look a little bit like this. So I'm going to start with one end, and I'm going to fold until it turns into like a coiled roll. I want this to be as tight as humanly possible, otherwise your bowl won't hold anything. And I'll use my left hand to twist, and I'll use my right hand to pull it tight. And we will do this until the very end of the roll. And we want to make sure that everything stays flat along the way to prevent kinks. Yeah, there's a kink right there. We want to make sure that we flatten those out. I've also noticed that it's sometimes smart to roll it, unroll it, and then re-roll it, because then you can mold the paper a little bit better and it'll do what you want a little bit better. And then once we get to the very end, you'll have a tail that looks like this. And we want to seal this off by taking our Elmer's glue and just getting the underside coated in glue. And then we'll connect those two pieces right there. And if you're a super patient person, you can keep your finger here. And if you're not, and you have a paper clip, you can maybe go a few layers in, if you can, and then stick this part on the outside, and it'll hold it in place for you while it dries. So once you've coiled your magazines and you've fastened it with a paper clip and it's completely dry, you will get something that looks like this. I'm working with this one just because this is not enough magazines to make a bowl, obviously. So this is the part where we can start molding it into the shape of a bowl. And this part is quite tricky, but the most fun. So what I'm gonna do with my two thumbs in the center is I'm gonna start very gradually pushing and staggering the layers of the magazine to form the shape of a bowl. You want them to very gradually overlap. You want to make sure that you're very, very gentle during this process, because if you push too hard, it could come undone and then you'd have to coil all over again. So as you can see, it started to take form of a bowl, but when I set it down, it's a little bit wobbly. So I like to push a few of the first couple layers of the bowl in the center down flat, so it doesn't move as much. And there's your bowl. So we don't want this to be malleable anymore. We want to solidify it. So with the Elmer's glue, I'm going to coat the entire outside, starting with the bottom, coiling my way to the top. And then I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to paint in where all of the glue is. I'm going to make sure there's glue in all of the grooves so that it gives it a strong sealant coat on the outside. Once you've coated the entire outside with glue and you've smoothed it down with your paintbrush, you can wait an hour or two until it dries and you will have your very own magazine bowl. I hope you guys enjoy, and for more information you can go to restoncommunitycenter.com.